opening statement, and then we'll open it up to the room.
Okay. Disappointing game. Disappointing game in terms of the expectations that we had for ourselves in this game. I think a lot of issues were culprits as to the results of what they were, particularly us not taking care of the ball offensively. We had those 3 turnovers in those moments that we really didn't quite stay in rhythm of where we should be. Had a few drop passes. So I think offensively wasn't quite the performance we were looking for. I think defensively, there were some spurts of really good defensive play and good series, but for the most part, they had some issues too. We had some missed tackles. They got some runs out on us. They threw a few passes on us, so they were more efficient offensively than we were. They took care of the football. They only had 1 turnover versus our 3. They had no penalties. We had 4. That's not a lot for us, but still, for them to come in and play a clean game on the road, they did what it took to win the game. And it's unfortunate, our guys are disappointed. And most of our disappointment, it was because of our own shooting ourselves in the foot, more so than anything. The turnovers, we had a few drop passes that were some conversions on 3rd down that could have happened. We just didn't play our normal selves. So it's unfortunate. We'll learn from this. We'll pick up our ball and go home and get ourselves ready to go next week. But I'm still encouraged by this football team and how far they've came. It's our big adversity of the season in terms of having a loss, and I think I'm excited about what this does for us in our future. We'll get a chance to bounce back and hopefully correct a lot of the issues that play a better performance next week. I'll open for questions now.
Okay, we will go to Adam Munstertager.
Coach, the defense was playing pretty well, and then Nate Landman goes down. Did it feel like that kind of deflated the defense a little bit? And do you have a diagnosis yet on his situation?
He has an ankle injury, a lower leg injury that he's going to be down for. I think he's going to have an MRI, but he's down for at least the rest of the season this fall. It's unfortunate that happened for Nate. Nate was off to a great start for this year, and for that to happen in the way it happened, that's unfortunate. But no, I won't say not one guy does the whole defense. I can't, even though he's a great piece to that. We have a next man up mentality about if someone goes down, and we expect to come in, the next guy in to come in and do his job effectively, just like the starter. And so I think it was still a combination of, there was a lot of missed tackles. We had a couple times we had big sacks in the backfield and we didn't get him down, and he ended up getting some positive yards, talking about their quarterback, Bentley. I'll give Utah credit. They played harder than we did, unfortunately. I think our guys played hard, but they made more rugged plays than we did. And that was the difference in the game. Those turnovers, breaking, some tackles and letting out some big runs. And, I think those are the big culprits of what's happened for us today.
We'll next go to Brian Howell.
Hey, Coach, I know we talked a lot about it, and it was the whole topic this week was how much was on the line for you guys. Do you think that all that hype played into your team today and their performance?
I don't think so. I don't talk about the hype. I think you guys do it more than we do. We had to just do the things that we were capable of doing for ourselves. A lot of it was self-inflicted today, Brian. You saw it. There was turnovers that, that's an issue. You can't turn the ball over, and that's happened with Sam with an interception. He had 2 fumbles. With Sam had a fumble, and Jared Broussard, who normally doesn't fumble. Those three turnovers were critical, in moments of the game where we're getting ready to drive. I think defensively we could have tackled better. Those are the things that we're the guys in position. We've missed a lot of tackles today. It was just one of those instances, I think they were more ready and prepared to come in and play and do what they did. And I think our guys were ready to play, but unfortunately we didn't execute very well.
Next is Justin Guerrero.
Hey, Karl, this was the first time all year we've seen you guys run more pass plays at the end of the game than you did run plays. And with Jared last week going for over 300 yards and only handling the ball 14 times today, do you feel at all that maybe there's a little bit of an overemphasis on throwing the ball today from an offensive standpoint?
I don't think it was an overemphasis at all. I just, we wanted to have balance, and I thought our passing game actually did some real positive things early. There's some drop passes that hurt us. We had a couple of big, go routes that helped us. There's a number of plays that I think were working for us. I think run game wise, we weren't as heavily into the run, just because of, the situations in the game, particularly that fourth quarter. Pretty much that whole fourth quarter, we were trying to get ourselves back into we're getting in scoring position. So that probably, the last, 10, 15 plays of passes, maybe skewed the whole process, but we were down, in terms of points on the board. So we're still going to always strive for balance. I thought Sam did some good things today, and he obviously did some things that he wanted to, wish he could have back. But we're going to continue to search and grow and bring our players along. We've got a lot of young players on offense that are playing. It's good to see a young player like a Brendan Rice make some of the plays he made today. Sam, even though he's a senior, he's still young and he's growing through the process of being a starter. So we're still got a lot of work to kind of refine and finish and execute. So we just got to get back to the drawing board and do things better.
We'll go to Hart Pisani next.
Hey, Coach. So Sam left to go to the locker room in the fourth quarter and then came back in, and it seemed like he was having a little trouble with his accuracy when he returned. One, what was his injury that caused him to leave? And two, do you think that his issues with with his accuracy when he returned were because of that injury?
He's been dealing with a sore shoulder most of the season, so that's something that we've been dealing with him from the very beginning. So we're just working on doing those, getting him better. He had one run that I think aggravated it, and that's why he went out and went into get it examined, then came back out. So he's been dealing with that most of the season, and I just think he took a shot on it today, and it probably. He needed to get it evaluated and come back out and finish. So we're going to continue to work and see what his progress is as we go through this next week. But all indications right now are the doctors and the trainers are telling me that he's okay.
Next up, we'll go to Jack Carlo.
Hi, Coach. I was wondering, with a few key runs there from Brendan Ryan, if you could talk a little bit more about him and what he brought to the offense today.
Say that again. I missed the question.
Right. With Brendan Ryan breaking free for a few big plays today, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about him and how much
Brendan
he
Rice
was for you guys. Or Brendan Rice.
Okay.
Sorry. Brendan
Okay.
Rice.
Yeah, he had a nice couple plays today. It was fun to see him get a chance to make a few plays. So. He's a good young player. He's a player that we feel he's got a lot of upside. He's trending up and he's getting better week after week. And so it was fun to see him make a few plays. I thought he had a drop pass today though, so I won't be too high on his bandwagon. But he's making really good progress. So we're happy. He's getting kind of acclimated into the college level of play and he'll continue to get better.
Eric Christensen's up next.
Hey, Coach. Just curious, you guys had an opportunity today. We all know it was on the line, but I'm just wondering if you can give us a sense of the disappointment you saw in the locker room afterwards.
They're all disappointed. We're all disappointed. I mean, we had an opportunity. So we didn't take advantage of it. So we're going to learn from this and continue to build this program. That's what we're going to do.
Brian Howell again.
Coach, obviously, after that first drive today, your defense really shut them down in the first half. But then second half, other than Nate being out, what kind of adjustments did Utah make that they were able to kind of take it to you in the second half?
I think they hit a couple passes. They get a screen on us. They hit I think the first series of they get a big run that jumps out of there that gets them down there deep in the red zone. I think that's probably the biggest things that happened. I think in the second half was that they had a couple of big runs that were not happening in the first half. So they happened to execute a little bit better than we did. We missed some tackles, and they scored, I think, 14 points in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes, if I remember, early part of the third quarter. So, we just got to go back to the drawing board and fix some of these things when we watch the tape. And but I think the most glaring thing I saw were missed tackles today, which is really uncharacteristic. We haven't really done that as much as we did today, unfortunately, and it showed up today.
Over to Sean Keeler.
Coach, do you reflect with these guys just how far they've come? Obviously not in a moment like this. How do you think they'll reflect on that? You'll reflect on this season as a whole, and what you can do to kind of get them ready for next week, not knowing the opponent, not knowing the scenario, and when they've had some adversity now, like you mentioned.
Well, I do believe this team has really good character. I do feel that. And, in the locker room, there's disappointment, but there's also understanding of why they're disappointed. They knew where the issues were as to why we lost today. So that tells you a lot about their growth as a team when they can basically say, Coach, this was our problem today. Okay? So the mindset now is to get those things fixed to get ready for next week. So there's still a lot of I think there's still a lot of enthusiasm about finishing the season in a strong way. We had an opportunity here. We had an opportunity to control our own destiny, and we didn't do it. And I think that's the biggest disappointment, the way that it happened, with turnovers and doing some things that were uncharacteristic of what we've seen. But actually we have seen a little bit of, with the turnover thing offensively, we got to take care of the ball better. But defensively, that was probably more uncharacteristic of seeing all the missed tackles. You haven't really seen that as often. So what you do is you kind of get back to work. There's no other way to do it to get things fixed is to get back to work and, analyze the issues that we had and what we dealt with today, and get some resolution and get it fixed so we can move forward to the next week. But I think our players, given what they felt, they're disappointed today, but they know there's still much more football to play.
We'll have one more to Brian Howell.
Coach, I was just curious, obviously snow on the field from overnight. There was obviously no tarp on the field. Were the conditions bad at all to where it was affecting your players?
It shouldn't have been. I mean, Utah came in here and they played on the same surface. So, I mean, we're both on the same surface. We have no excuse for that. And you know me, Brian, better than that by now. I'm not using any excuses now. Okay, so there were two teams out there, our team, Utah, on the same field. No excuse.
Does anybody have one last one for Coach before we let him go? Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you, guys.